This is Democracy Watch. Marc, we have some big news here. Elon Musk has been sued by the Philadelphia DA. So first off, what was he sued over?
Yeah, so this is a civil lawsuit based on Pennsylvania's lottery and consumer protection laws. You know, we've talked about this before. There are a number of different ways to look at this very odd and potentially illegal scheme that Elon Musk is running. One of them is to look at it through the lens of the federal criminal laws, which prohibit vote buying and the like. The other, though, is to just look at this as just a routine, like, numbers racket, right? You know, like, you can't run a dice racket out of your garage. You can't run an illegal lottery. You can't have your own sort of horse betting scheme going on the side. So there are laws against that. And what has happened here in Philadelphia is that the local DA has basically said that this violates the lottery and consumer protection laws because he's running an illegal lottery.
You know, a spokesperson for Musk's America PAC, that's the PAC overseeing this raffle, was asked by the AP if the cash awards would continue, and they responded with a link to a Twitter post showing the latest $1 million raffle winner holding an oversized check. So what do you make of that extreme defiance in the face of what is this lawsuit being put forward by the Philadelphia DA?
Right. So first of all, let's be clear. Like, it's not that these could only ever be civil charges. It's just this is a civil case. So my first advice is, when you are in a hole, stop digging. When you may have violated the federal and criminal laws, stop telling the media that you are, or agree that you are continuing to violate those laws. And, you know, when you've been sued civilly, you know, now's not the time to double down and triple down. But that is very Trumpian, right? It is very quintessential Elon Musk. It's very Donald Trump. It's like a match made in heaven. Right. The big difference between Donald Trump and Elon Musk is that one of them is a billionaire and has a lot of money. And he should be listening to his lawyers right now, who I suspect are telling them, you know what, Mr. Musk, this is probably not a good idea. This is not the time to be running an illegal lottery, which is what the claim is against him by the Philadelphia DA. It is not the time to be potentially running afoul of the Department of Justice's criminal laws, which, as you recall, the Department of Justice sent him a letter saying, you know, there are criminal laws that prohibit this. You probably shouldn't be doing this. So, I don't fully understand why someone who is, you know, as wealthy as he is in charge of a publicly traded company, has federal government contracts, has a private company in X, why he is intent on doing something that it seems like so many in the position of the government are warning him are illegal, why he's continuing to persist. But then again, I don't really understand Elon Musk.
I think the answer to that is that he's banking on Trump winning, and then he won't have to worry about any federal charges because Donald Trump will staff the federal government with people who will be loyal to him and his sycophants, including Elon Musk. I mean, this is the gamble that he's playing right now. The flip side of that is that even if Donald Trump loses, this has been a DOJ that's been largely too timid to take any serious action against people. I mean, the fact that it took so long for any January 6th related litigation against prosecutions against Donald Trump is a testament to exactly that. The fact that Merrick Garland has been largely invisible in this whole process. So I think that's the gamble that Elon is making here.
Yeah, and it's an interesting point because you almost wonder if Elon's theory is almost like a too big to fail theory.
Yeah.
Right. Because, I joke that, you can't run, an illegal gambling operation out of your garage. But let's say there was a guy running an illegal gambling operation out of their garage in Philadelphia. And among the illegal things they were doing was running a lottery, awarding money to people based on either directly or indirectly getting people to register to vote. I can assure you, both the Department of Justice and the state officials would be all over that person.
Right.
But it's almost like Musk is banking on the idea that, yeah, maybe Trump wins, but even if Trump doesn't win, they're never going to come after me because it's not like a $50 illegal lottery. It's like a $1 million a week or whatever he's giving out. Which is so backwards because that's the actual kind of person you should be going after, as opposed to the person running the gambling ring in their backyard with dice for $5 a pop, Right, and that this is in some ways the way in which a lot of rich people feel like they have immunity from government, and it's honestly, I think a lot of the anger that you hear in the public about how it is that Donald Trump got away with the criminal offenses that he was charged with. I mean, you and I have talked about this before. If there were a criminal defendant who was busted for possession of drug paraphernalia, and he mouthed off at a judge the way Donald Trump, one fraction of the way Donald Trump mouthed off at these judges, he'd be thrown in jail. Like he would be thrown in jail. I mean, the contempt citations would be only part of it. The judge would just revoke his bail and say, you know what, you want to badmouth me and you want to attack the judicial system, I'll throw you in jail. And yet we saw time and time again that Donald Trump did this and got away with it. And so, maybe that is setting a culture now among his supporters, particularly other very wealthy supporters.
Elon's personal legal exposure aside, I think the more pressing issue as far as we're all concerned is the impact that this could have, that actually running this lottery, this illegal lottery ahead of the election could actually have. So is there any likelihood, first off, that we'll see his behavior stop in advance of the election? Or is there any likelihood that what little legal action we're seeing now is going to have any semblance of a deterrent effect before the election?
So look, I don't know enough about Elon Musk to tell you whether or not it will be a deterrent or not. Based on past experience, it doesn't seem like he's easily deterred by this kind of stuff. So I suspect not. The good news is I also don't think this is going to have a big impact on the election. I mean, let's be honest. Nothing I have read or seen suggests to me that Elon Musk is doing much of anything to affect the outcome of the election other than lighting money on fire and jumping around stages with Donald Trump. I mean, there is nothing about this PAC that I have heard or read that suggests that they are having much of a positive impact. They have actually garnered some negative publicity, I think, with some of their tactics. But I'm not super worried that this is going to impact the outcome of the election. But part of the reasons why states have lottery laws and consumer protection laws is not just because they may have a negative impact on the outcome of an election, obviously, but actually the fact that oftentimes it is the consumer who is being defrauded. And some number of people right now are signing over their name and information to Elon Musk for whatever use he may make of it, thinking they have a chance to win, $1 million or whatever. And that is why these things are regulated, right? These things are regulated to protect the consumers, not just because there may be some harm to the state.
Right. Let's finish off with this. Why more broadly, and we've seen this a couple of times now in this election cycle, why are we relying on local DAs to do the work that, in theory, the DOJ should be doing?
So look, this is a big question that I think we will only have answered in hindsight. I have avoided in most of the public back and forth about the Department of Justice speculating as to why did this take so long? Why didn't they do this? Why did Jack Smith get appointed at the point that he did? Why wasn't this quicker? Why did they prosecute? Why did they prioritize one thing or the other? I think Ron Klain, after he left the White House, who was the chief of staff to Joe Biden and a very good, sober individual, he raised the question, that a lot of people wonder, I think he said to Jen Psaki on MSNBC, a lot of people have wondered or have been frustrated at how slowly some of the voting rights litigation was brought in and how slowly some of the other criminal prosecutions around January 6th have been. History will be able to judge whether there was a systemic failure here or whether this was prudent. And I'm not going to second guess them right now in the lead up to the election. But I do, like all of you, like many people, ask myself that question. But I'm going to assume that there are good reasons, but that over time we will come to understand what the thinking was around the decisions around Donald Trump, around some people around him, around January 6th, and around some of the just general attitude towards enforcement of and protection of the right to vote. What I know is this, is that there are lots of ways, including local DAs in New York, local DAs in Georgia, now a local DA in Pennsylvania, that the law can be enforced. There are lots of ways that the voting rights laws can be protected. You know, my law firm and I, we've brought dozens and dozens and dozens of cases since Joe Biden's been in office, and we've had a lot of success. Not total success. We've lost some cases, but we've won more than we've lost, and more than people predicted, in ensuring that there are fair districts, that the Voting Rights Act is enforced, that the constitutional right to vote is protected, that state constitutional and state statutory rights to vote are protected. So, you know, we're doing our part, and we will all see what the historians and the book writers have to say when they learn more about how the Department of Justice viewed this era.
Well, I think that's a totally fair take. And again, to your exact point, for all of the cautiousness that we see out of the Justice Department, you and your team have been completely ferocious in defending voting rights across this country. How many cases are you litigating right now in how many states?
Right now, we are litigating 67 cases in 19 states.
So
that's just voting and election cases.
Just those voting and election cases. A note to people who are watching right now to support the invaluable work that Marc and his team are doing in the courts. Ground zero for this election, pre-election, and post-election litigation. One small step that we can all take is to sign up for Democracy Docket. It's the news outlet Marc founded to focus on everything voting and elections. I use it on a daily basis, and it's going to become more and more important, more and more relevant as we head toward Election Day here. So I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. Highly recommend that you sign up. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
I'm Marc Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.